What's up, What the Vet fam? We're back with another episode this week, and this is going to be a new edition. Do I look good in orange? We're going to start doing these on a more regular basis. So we are going to talk about the question that Joyce posed to you guys earlier in the week about if you have ever witnessed a client abuse their pet in the exam room.
And we're not talking like shut the fuck up. We're talking
like kick, smack, hit, punch, like whatever, like actually go beyond, disciplining or correction behavior. So have any of you ever witnessed something like that? And if you did, what did you do about it? So Joyce, what did What the Vet fam have to say about that?
I had one person comment that when she saw it happen in the exam room, she leaned over the exam table, looked at the pet and said, "Oh, it really sucks that you have such a shitty dad." And it shut that guy up real quick. And he had been a long-standing client, and she's like, every time he came in, he was, the best of the best behavior. And then one person said that I had a woman slap her dog hard across the face right in front of me while I was triaging. I was also training a new tech that day. The slap was hard and the dog yelped. She was flabbergasted at first and then said, "I'm sorry, she needed that. She wasn't listening." So even though I was fuming, said negative punishment has been shown not only to be ineffective on training pets, but it actually can be psychologically damaging. She's like, "I can give you cards for local trainers, but will not allow that in the exam room to happen again." And then another one had said, "We had a long-term client come in with a new puppy. While attempting to weigh it, it was being a puppy, bouncing all around. He tried to hit it, ended up hitting my coworker instead. #violence. He had never, in our presence at least, hit his old dogs, so the doctor had a conversation with him about how that was unacceptable and we were going to have to review if we wanted to continue our relationship with him. Next day, he had a major heart attack and is no longer with us." Plot twist on that one. So pretty much no one had chosen violence. They handled it far calmer than what I think I would have, because I haven't seen it in the exam room. I've seen it in the horse world, especially at horse shows. Now, it's one thing, I'm going to use my horse as an example. Redford comes with aggressive issues. He came that way, right? So in his stall, he can be aggressive, especially over food. And we've spent years working with him at this point to where now, within reason, he will let me in his stall while he's eating his hay and grain. I have to tread lightly and really read the room, but if he's being super aggressive, I can show him the crop, and that's it. And he will, and we have trained, and I say trained as a tool because he knows if he puts himself in a corner that he is being too much, right? That I have to do what I need to do and we need to do it safely. Have I ever beaten the crap out of him? No. Will he get smacked with the crop? Yes. But have I no. But have I seen people go to that extent? Yes, in the horse world. For their luck, other people had intervened and taken the whip out of their hands. I would have taken the whip out of their hands and beat the shit out of them. Oh, yeah. That's a me thing. But in the exam room, no. I've only had people say, "Don't be nice to my dog. I'm training him to be a guard dog and I don't want him to know affection from outside sources," which made me rage, but that's a different topic for a different day.
Yeah. I have seen it in the exam room, and I've seen it outside of the give up room at the shelter. The give up room at the shelter, let's just say I wasn't as controlled now as I was back then. So things happened, words were exchanged, no physicality though, but the dog was taken from the person and she ended up being mine, but he was horrible to her outside of the give up room. She had been suffering with a broken leg for about 6 months. He never got any care. Oh. Once the event was said and done, he had two options. He could either surrender her right then and there, lose all rights to her, or we were going to lodge an official investigation on the condition of the animal, the things that she had been through, this, that, or the other. Needless to say, she was surrendered and I ended up adopting her. And then I've seen it in the exam room. It is very hard in an exam room to maintain a professional decorum. But as a practice manager, that is my job. I have to do that to have very strongly worded conversations. But my staff, on the other hand, so this week I had a staff member go into a room, and she's fantastic, love her to death, go into a room with a known aggressive dog. And typically the routine is we have the owner put the muzzle on the dog. We take the dog to the back and we do a one and done. Our blood draw, our vaccines, fecal, all that good stuff. And she's supposed to be on trazodone and gabapentin when she comes in. However, Dad did not give her trazodone and gabapentin. And when he went to muzzle her, she lost her shit and went after him for the first time ever. I'm not sure if this is how he is towards this dog at home or if he was startled because she came at him and kicked the dog. Like you could audibly hear the kick. And the technician in the room lost her shit. Told him she was gonna beat the shit out of him if he ever did that in front of her again. There were other words that were said, but I'm not gonna call her out on it. Right?
Don't worry, Grandma, we got you.
Not gonna call her out on it. But she had every right to be upset that happened. That she had every right to be up in arms or, triggered from past experiences, things like that, because that happened because that was highly, highly inappropriate. It's not okay. And again, I've had, encounters in the exam rooms where I'm like, I've taken the pet from the person and been like, this is not acceptable. You cannot do that. You can't.
Yeah, and let's throw this to the people that aren't in the veterinary world. Let's flip it and equate it to a child, the difference of a child being disciplined and a difference between a child being abused, right? They can't fight back. You know what I mean? Like they can try, but they're children. Like they're not going to do an effective job at protecting themselves, right? And the same goes for the majority of the dogs. The same goes for them. My terrier mix is 20 pounds, and has she shown her teeth at me when she gets upregulated? Absolutely. And she has come at me. And like people think that I'm torturing her, but really I'm scruffing her because for her, that is the worst damage you could possibly do to her.
Yeah.
Honestly, like you could spank her, you could bop her on the nose, you could use a shot collar. She wouldn't care. But for some reason, for her, scruffing triggers her out of it. But I don't throw her across the room or kick her. My neighbors may think I do when I'm yelling at her outside saying, get your ass back up to the house. But like they can't defend themselves just like children can't when you're being hit or kicked or things like that.
There's a difference between discipline and correction and just this unnecessary physical abuse. I mean, I guess that's what you can equate it to. Because like Brixton, he'll be in an exam room with me at work, and the doctors are looking at him. He's trying to get into everything and anything that he can, and I will take like my fingertips and pop him on his butt. You know what I mean? But like, no, don't do that. But there's a difference between I've seen dogs be punched in the face, punched in the gut, kicked, thrown across the room, and that's not okay. That's still life. You know what I mean? And that's creating more of a negative experience. One, in the exam room for that animal. Two, in that environment. And three, how the hell do you treat that pet at home?
Well, and that's the thing. And like the one tech has shown, she's 100% correct that wrote on the TikTok about how studies show that level of punishment isn't effective anymore. They've done the research, they've done the studies, done nature versus nurture. Yes, and if you see two dogs go at it, if they're just disciplining each other and not in that red zone state, they're not actually truly biting each other. It's all mainly noise and thrashing around. We can't use that as an excuse anymore.
Yeah.
So like there's plenty of studies that show there's different methods, and there's plenty of trainers out there that show how those methods work.
Yeah.
Like it's time that we evolve into being better.
Yeah. And if you have a pet that every time they breathe wrong or do something that you don't approve of, and you feel the need to beat the shit out of them, or it annoys you to the point that you shouldn't have them.
No.
You shouldn't. Like at what point is it okay, one, for you to have that pet, and two, do you want to have that pet if that's all that animal elicits in you is anger?
Well, and you shouldn't have that pet if that's all you have is anger towards it.
Exactly. But then again, you
give it a chance. At that point, give it a chance at a shelter for a better life, if that is all it knows.
But then you have
it's just anger and abuse.
Narcissistic control freaks who that's their outlet. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
It's absolutely inappropriate. Whether you're at home or you're in the exam room, but especially in the veterinary office, in front of veterinary staff who spend their day saving the lives of animals, to beat the shit out of an animal in an exam room.
Yeah. Yeah.
And us as professionals, what do you do about it?
And if you have a known aggressive dog, that wouldn't have been the first time it redirected towards its owner, because that's what they do. They redirect. Like, they get into that and then they redirect to the closest thing, which is always the person that's holding the leash, right? It's not the first time. I'm sorry, he can't use that excuse because there's no way it wasn't.
And that's why we tell owners when we're restraining and we're doing things to them, keep your fucking hands away from his face. Oh, he's not gonna bite me. Bitch, he ain't gonna know if it's you or me. He's gonna bite somebody.
It's true. He's going to bite somebody.
Then you want to correct and put your hands on the dog because he bit you, because I told you to step the back. He doesn't know who he's biting. He's like Stevie Wonder with a mouthful of teeth. Like, he has no idea who he's going after. I digress. I'm sorry.
Stevie Wonder.
You know what I mean?
And also, we're going to touch base on the legalities on say that technician flew over the counter and punched the guy in the face. Sadly, she would have gotten in trouble, right? Like, she could have gotten fined, X amount of days in prison, have a record, because and that's because the pets are considered property, not their own beings. And that's going to be not just a Florida thing, not just a North Carolina thing. That's more of all of the states right now. And we like to think that it's slowly going to change, but it's going to take a while to make that movement to where they're not considered just property.
And they may have disciplined the owner in some form or fashion, but not to the degree that my technician would have been disciplined.
Correct.
In terms of from a legal standpoint. From an employment standpoint, we'd have went and got her out. However, from a legal standpoint, she'd have had a lot more ramifications against her than he would for what he did to his dogs.
And if he wanted to be a true dick about it, if he got his ass kicked by a fairly smaller individual that was of the female variety, he could have gone after the office because it happened on the clock. If he really wanted to be sue happy, which most people are sue happy if they think that they can get $1.
Oh yeah. If it inflicted any kind of physical or mental damage whatsoever, we could have had our asses in a sling.
Yeah. And by asses in a sling, depends how good the lawyers are, right? If they're going to be able to, because she's the name of the clinic. She represents the clinic.
Yeah. Do I condone what happened? No. Do I understand it? Yes. Would I have bailed her out? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Would she have needed to be bailed out, or would have just been turned into a hearing 5 years down the road?
I think at the degree of pissed off that she was, she'd have had to be bailed out. She'd have had to be bailed out. And I'd have probably had to have been hospitalized from trying to pull her off of this man. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. Now, she could have verbally assaulted him pretty much all she wanted, right? She could have said, F you, F this, I'm going to F you up, blah, 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 blah. And Grandma, that was for you to not say all those swear words. But she could have done that all she wanted, and he couldn't have done jack, right? But she couldn't have used the excuse, well, I felt threatened on this one. And it was self-defense.
Exactly. But I don't know, in terms of legalities, her acting on the best interest of the pet to protect him from harm, what kind of leniency there would have been for that. Does that make sense? Because I'm going to tell you right now.
I asked ChatGPT that, right? Because I went to ChatGPT, as one does. They say animal abuse and cruelty is a crime, right? The abuse was witnessed by the veterinary staff, sure. But it then depends on what the jury finds as severe of a punishment and what the judge finds the severity of the punishment, right? Because you have two wrongs that don't make it right. You know what I mean? Both are at fault. Sadly, she would probably still face it, but it all would depend on how the jury in that sympathizes with her.
Yeah.
So, she wouldn't be able to go in and be a cocky one. She would be like, I was protecting the dog.
Yeah, absolutely. And too, it honestly, it depends on the city and state that you're in, what your county ordinances are, how abuse is defined, how those animals are defined, living beings, this, that, and the other versus property. There's a lot of different factors that to go into something like that, but I can pretty much guarantee the county that we were in, whether the man struck the dog or not, there would have been very minimal, if any, ramifications whatsoever towards the owner, and it would have all went on my technician had there been any kind of physical actions at all. Because you and I both know, and I think you were there for this at the place that shall not be named. We had a potential, I'm not going to say potential, it was a cruelty case. It was 100%. And Animal Services and the county sheriff's department would not touch it. It was a case of bestiality. Were you there for that?
Yeah, that was as I was leaving. Yeah.
They wouldn't touch it.
Because it was still technically legal when I was in Florida.
I know. Well, it's
wasn't it
illegal, but the county, but they're like, we don't look into things like that.
You should.
Working with me, and you had a whole medical report and investigation handed to you on a silver platter.
Yeah.
So the fact that a man struck a pet in a room, I highly doubt that would have went anywhere.
No, not if they wouldn't even touch the bestiality case. And then, and sadly, YouTube viewers, I could tell you that I have seen a couple of cases in my career of that, where that thought was there.
Yep.
At least 3. And then a couple from veterinarians from other practices that, disgusting. But it's not unheard of in the veterinary world to come across that.
I've had to do rape kits on dogs. Mm-hmm. Did you hear what I said?
Yep.
Rape kits. Because people are sick.
Yeah.
But no, and 2, I mean, we can talk about
hate people.
Yeah.
They're the fucking worst. Sorry.
I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you. Who? Why? Just rabbit trail. Know that there are certain states where that shit is legal and they have farms for that.
Yep.
They adopted a German Shepherd in Texas and married it. They knew what this dude was adopting this dog for and couldn't do shit about it because it was legal in that state. Why?
Yep.
Why?
Castrate them. Fucking castrate them. Make it so it can't come up anymore.
To an animal, chances are they're going to do that to a kid.
Exactly.
Wouldn't even give them the luxury of being castrated. They just need to be hung. That's where I'm at. But anyway, we're going to start a whole political bunch of bullshit. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So we talk about what happens in the exam room, right? What could happen in the lobby, the parking lot, this, that, and the other with owners. Have you guys ever encountered your coworkers putting their hands on patients? That's something we should really talk about because I'm sure you've seen it. I've seen it. And yes, it got physical. I'm proud of it. I don't give a fuck because I stood up for that animal. Fire me, put me in jail. I don't give a shit.
Mine was at the place that shall not be named. It was the only, mind you, I was a supervisor at the time. And I don't even remember I'm not even going to call her a technician, the veterinary assistant that would come in high all the time.
You're going to have to be a little more specific.
I am not being racist, but she was African American. She was our only African American one.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. And the manager at the time, I was the only one in the building with the highest credentials, right? So everything fell on me. And one of the technicians was like, she's hurting this kitten and she thinks it's funny. And the veterinarian wasn't going to do anything because she actually was afraid of this technician because she was a little gang. And so I walked out, said, put the kitten down and you're going home. Clock out and go home. We're done. That turned out great for me in the sense that her and I had words in a hallway. Did I get physical? No. Did I know I could have won in that physicality department? Absolutely. And she knew it too. So she didn't get in my face because that is a trigger for me. When people get in my faces, I go gang back. But the manager, she called the manager as she was leaving and he allowed her to come back to work. 5 minutes later, he undermined me. And to say I ripped him a new one was an understatement. Somebody's feelings got hurt. And it wasn't mine in that regard, but it was definitely his. But he let her come back in. She clocked back in and went back to work. Did I make her go up front? Sure the fuck did. She wasn't allowed to touch an animal while I was in the building.
Here's a broom, make yourself fucking useful.
Pretty much. I cried a lot that day, but it was from anger. And he knew it. And that was because he didn't have a backbone and he wasn't even there. So he could have been like, yeah, you have to listen to her. We'll round out on this tomorrow when I'm back in the office.
As a supervisor,
he could have just done. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, as a supervisor, made a call and it should have been supported.
And it was the correct call because she was hurting a kitten and she thought it was funny. And last I heard, ladies and gentlemen, she was still teching for random places that would hire her.
Random places that would hire her. I've seen her application in the recent past, and that was a hard no for me. But yeah, it's horrible. Why would you get in this field if you're going to be abusive towards your patients? You know what I mean? Same thing in human medicine when they do it in the retirement homes and shit like that. But like I seen this patient came in, and known seizure patient, right? Had just had, real bad seizures in the lobby, was post-ictal, this, that, and the other, and we needed to get blood. Well, the patient wouldn't cooperate. Well, patient was a little disoriented, okay, but wouldn't cooperate.
Post-ictal.
We know for a fact that this little dog had an open fontanelle. Okay. Tell me why this technician, because the dog wouldn't cooperate, felt the need to smack it on its head. I mean, like head trauma smacks. Not that, hey, can you tap this patient? No, she was fucking smacking the shit out of him. I said, okay. I took the dog. I handed it to another. I said, can you hold this dog for me for just a second? She's like, yeah, why? And I grabbed the technician by her fucking scrubs and I said, let me tell you something. If you put your hands on another animal, the least of your concerns will be losing your goddamn job. Do you understand me? Do you understand me? And she was notorious for doing this shit. Notorious. Anyway, I have become a better person. I'm not saying that I have found God or Jesus, but I have become a better person. At least I like to think so, because motherfuckers be trying me these days. Excuse my language, Grandma. I apologize.
But Amber, I'm going to call bullshit on that, because I'm pretty sure if you saw someone do that was being paid on the clock, you would still do that.
I'm a manager. I have to act appropriately, but you're not wrong. You're not wrong, because it's starting to become one of my colors. Okay.
We need to get orange shirts when we do topics of this and just wear them. Orange shirt day.
Our What the Vet shirt is orange. I'm just saying. Orange vet, bro. That's what I'm saying.
I'm fine with that. We can get down with that.
Just incite violence when it comes to animals. You know what I mean? Like, it's absolutely ridiculous about what goes through your head. What makes you think that the shit that you do to these like I say, poor defenseless animals? Granted, some of them aren't defenseless and they would destroy you in many, many ways, right? But that's defense mechanism. That's the way that they defend themselves. But what goes through your head when you inflict pain or discomfort or some kind of suffering on something that's not done shit to you?
No, we come into this field to help animals, to work with animals, because one, we don't like people. People are gross, people are ugly, we hate people. Bottom line, they're just the worst. So we get into this field because our love, I'm going to say in quotes in this, because clearly some love them more than others, and they prove that they should not have chosen this as a career path if they feel the need to do that. And if you're one of those technicians that do that, check yourself. Or you go to therapy, find Jesus, or rethink your career path. There's plenty of career paths out there that pay more. Online school's a thing.
Yep. Don't be a human being.
Costco pays more than the vet world most times. So go work at Costco.
If you or somebody who's like started out in this field and you could not fathom the fact that you could flip that switch and become somebody who's aggressive toward your patients or something like that, something is happening in your personal life, your professional life, something like that that's causing you to display that behavior, seek help. Like Joy said, go to therapy, go talk to your practice manager, go talk to your practice owner. If you can't get anywhere from them, there's Facebook support groups, talk to a coworker. But
100%.
Turning your irritation, your agitation, your aggression towards your patients is not acceptable. It's not acceptable to your coworkers either, but they're a little bit easier to deal with when shit like that happens. 100% absolutely not acceptable to turn that towards your patients. It's not. No. And some of them may not have to talk about, but go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I was like, this is coming from someone that has deep-seated anger issues. Not once have I used it on a patient. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have an excuse. There is no excuse to take it out on somebody else's pet or your own. But right now we're focusing on pets in the hospital that you are being paid to take care of and bring a standard of care. Abuse and pain is not one of them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You should not be disciplining patients. You should not be putting your hands on them, smacking them in the face.
They're not yours.
They're not yours to do that with. You know what I mean? Furthermore, even if they were yours, you're a shitty person. Correct them
Yeah.
appropriately. Make sure they have the appropriate training and things like that. Me, calling the kettle black because my dogs are juvenile delinquents, but I know that and I accept that. I can't do anything about it because they're not technically mine and they're allowed to do what they want, and I'm sick of it. I would never, never put my phone. Yeah. So think before you act, especially when you're in the exam room with a veterinary team who gets paid and who has dedicated their life to saving the lives of their patients, to advocating for their patients, to watching out for them. And as cheesy as it sounds, thank you, ASPCA, being their voice.
We can put In the Arms of the Angels theme song right here.
Oh, dude, we could put people in the just white bullshitting, rocking the shit out of it. Joyce, I bet you would have matching eyeshadow too. You know what I'm saying? I bet you would rock that shit.
100%. Oh, 100%. 100%. Dude, I would own that gel block. Like, I'm sorry, Bertha has nothing on me.
I would be Joyce's bitch, 100%. She would rock that shit. You know what I'm saying?
There would be or unorganized chaos. I would ensue unorganized chaos. I would let the monkeys play, and then they would bring me the goods. I have no doubt. Try to shank me, bitch. Try it.
Not afraid of. When it comes to an animal, not afraid. Anyway.
No, but if you guys can like, comment, share, it's actually really helping us. We've gotten some new followers and new watchers, so thank you for that. But yeah, until next week, guys.
Good night.